It's nice meeting you. Where are you calling from, Adedayo? Is your first name Adeyemi or Adedayo? Oh, from Nigeria. Thank you. You're welcome to the program.
Okay, so good evening.
Good evening. Good day to you.
Good day to you, Tomo. Okay, so currently I'm in Nigeria right now.
Okay.
Okay, so I actually just got admission into the university.
Oh, nice. Is that for something related to cybersecurity or?
Yes, cybersecurity.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So my dad introduced me to you guys, say that so like to make things easier for me in uni.
Good to have you on. Good to have you on.
Thank you.
And like I said, Tammy from Edmonton. Okay, great.
Thank you, Tammy.
Yeah, good to have you on, Tammy. And Daddy's here as well. You know, we'll get started. We're 5 minutes in, we'll get started and others can join us. People are probably watching on YouTube as well. So we'll jump straight into it. I'm not going to share my screen or anything today. It's going to be a chat between us. Let's chat. Let's know what this space is about, what you can benefit from it, what you can start to do right now, you know, to get into the space. Even if you're just in the university, the things you can start to do yourself, just to put yourself in a good position out there. So, and of course, ultimately we'll demystify some of the misconceptions, some of the things you've probably heard that are not exactly the case in this industry. So we'll try to demystify some of those. We'll look at the difference between transitioning and specialization. What we hear a lot about is, oh, transition into cybersecurity. But is there a difference? Can some people actually specialize? Are some people already doing cybersecurity, but they don't know it? So we'll be looking at that. And we'll look at briefly at, is it really for everybody, as they say? Or there are certain people that can make it in cybersecurity while others can't. We'll look at that. And then, of course, we'll share some case studies of people that have done it successfully, just to let you know that you can do it too. And then we'll look at actionable things you can start to do right now, with or without anybody, things you can start to do yourself. And if you wait until the end, we have a tiny little bonus for those that would like to know more about our program. And then there'll be room for questions, ultimately. And before we start, I will pass it to Celia, my partner, to introduce herself. And yeah, I'll take it on from there. Over to you, Celia.
Thank you, Mukhtar. Thank you everyone for joining us today. As you said, my name is Suliha. I am the co-founder and the program manager for Marshall Technology, Inc. My background, I'm just going to brief you about my background. My background is in medical science. I have a degree in biochemistry. I'm currently doing my MBA in cybersecurity. Previously, most of my job experience have been in the lab and also in the health sector. Couple of years ago, I transitioned into IT and later specialized in cybersecurity. So right now I'm a cybersecurity consultant. So that's a brief introduction about myself. With that said, so Mukhtar, over to you.
Yes, thank you. And interesting, like you said, you transitioned into IT and then specialized in cybersecurity. We'll later on we'll look into what that looks like. And yeah, just a little bit about myself for those that don't know me already. So for me, I've always been in IT. I have over a decade of experience in IT generally, and in that time I've done quite a number of things, from system administration to network administration to innovation management, project management, research and analysis. There's, of course, all around information systems, ethical committee leadership, privacy compliance. And I did a lot of things before I made a decision I think about a few years ago. I can't remember exactly how many years ago now. And I said, you know what, I've done a lot of things. Let me focus on something. And then I chose cybersecurity, especially focusing more on risk, data protection and compliance. And then later on, I was like, okay, this I can actually help more people. I can help more companies and more people. So we established our company and then we set it as a consulting firm. It's what we do till date. And we still help people transition. We help companies stay secure and compliant, and we help people transition into the space. So with that said, we'll move into the day's agenda. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can.
Right. So the first thing I want to do today really is to look at the two sides of cybersecurity. I know you've heard a lot about cybersecurity, and what I would say, cybersecurity is very broad. It's just like saying, just like Sodia said, I'm studying biochemistry, or me saying, oh, I want to learn IT, I want to learn computer science. It's broad. There's so many things you can do. I can say I'm an IT professional. Okay, yes. What do you really do? Right? So cybersecurity is very broad, and we've kind of classified it into two sides. And one is the core technical, the other is the non-technical. And I'm happy for people to contribute here. Which one do you think? So the core technical, I'll just explain what the difference between the two, and you tell me which one you think would be more important to an organization. So core technical, these are the guys that are hands-on on the systems, implementing what we call controls in cybersecurity. And what does that really mean? They're the ones that are putting things in place to make sure that bad things don't happen. In layman terms, the person that puts up your gate in your, if you have a fence, that person that comes in to put up the gate, and in fact, the person that, those people that build your fence, put up the gate and maybe hand you the key to the padlock and things like that. Those are the guys we call the core technical guys, the guys that actually do the implementation of controls or countermeasures to make sure that bad things don't happen. Or if they happen, their impact is very minimal. Those are the core technical guys. Or in fact, sometimes they test to see that, okay, the things they did before, that other people did before, they're still working the way they should. The non-technical side of it, remember I said there are two sides, core technical and then non-technical. Non-technical side are the people that work on strategic planning, policy development, risk assessment, which we'll get into, incident response coordination. I did not say incident response, coordination. And then ensuring that the company's goals and visions are compliant with the regulation, that the company is working ethically and in compliance with applicable regulation. What does this really mean? So these are the guys that look at, okay, I'm working in a company. What is the company trying to do? The company is trying to expand into another region. They want to move to Africa, for example, a Canadian company or an American company trying to move to Africa. The company wants what they want. But there are some guys that look deeper than that and say, okay, that's what you want to do. What can go wrong if we move to Africa? A number of things can go wrong, just like any other part of the world, right? So they're looking at it strategically. They're looking at it from a risk point of view. What are the things that can go wrong? What do we have in place already to make sure that those things don't go wrong? If you don't have them in place, what can we put in place to make sure that those things don't go wrong? And again, we can do our best, but things can still go wrong, right? What if we do our best and something still goes wrong? How do we make sure that we can rescue the situation or we can limit the impact on us as an organization? So those are the non-technical guys. Even though we still, which is where I belong, we touch on a lot of technology and we use a lot of our technological knowledge, but we don't hands-on implement anything. So the things we recommend, the things we suggest to the company to do, then the technical guys put them in place. Does it make sense? Now, a question I have for everybody, and I would like to get a response from you, is which of these two sides do you think organizations would want more of? They are both very critical to organizations. But which of the two do you think will be more critical to an organization's existence? You can put it in the chat. You can unmute and talk. It's fine. I'd like to hear from you guys, please. If no one is talking,
Your favorite song.
okay. So anyone? If no one is talking, you can just.
Amy wrote something in the chat. She said non-technical.
Say that again. Oh, someone put it in the chat. Okay, sorry, I'm not seeing the chat. Oh, sorry, yeah, tell me non-technical. Oh, thank you. Someone else, does anyone else think that? And I'm just wondering why that is. Or does anyone have a contrary view? Why, or why would the non-technical guys be more critical to the organization? Okay, thank you, Dexter. Yeah, from what you're thinking, the non-technical. And you can call it biased or not, because that's where I belong. I agree with both of you. I agree with both of you because a lot of the time, companies know what they want, but they don't know what can go wrong with what they want. But we are the ones that do that extra work to help them see, yeah, these are your use cases. These are the things you want. These are the beautiful things you want. But with every big thing comes a big risk, right? These are the risks you need to start looking at. And these are the things we need to do to make sure that these things don't happen. And if you put those things, if you agree, of course, our job is to show you. And your job is to say, oh, it's okay, we know that risk is there, but we're fine with it. Or to say, oh, no, we cannot afford that risk. What do we do? And then we make recommendations, right? So the recommendations we make are the things that the technical guys work on. The interesting thing, I mentioned earlier that I've done a lot of things in the IT space. I was a network administrator. I was a system administrator, application analyst, and all of that. A lot of the things I did in those positions, I implemented controls that were recommended by other teams, right? By the non-technical guys. Remember that at the time, I did not have a title of a security person. I wasn't a security engineer. I wasn't a cloud security anything. I wasn't a network engineer or network security engineer or application security engineer. No, I wasn't. But I still implemented controls that the non-technical team recommended for the organization. It tells you that other people, other non-security people can do some of the work or a lot of the work that the technical guys do. You can give a cloud engineer, oh, we have this requirement, you must put this firewall in place, you must put that in place and all those things. They can do it. The beauty of the non-technical side as well is we work with more than just the security team. We work across the organization. A big part of our job is business management. So that's the beauty of what we do. And that's, of course, like both of you, so like both Timmy and Dexter said, what we do is very crucial to organizations. So now we're looking at why are we so important? Our role and why is a career in that space? And what's that career called? Maybe that's something we need to talk about. So it's not something you've heard a lot of, cybersecurity management or information security management. Is that a new term for anyone? If it's new to you, just say it in the chat. Or just put it in the chat. If it's not new, say it as well. So is it new? Yes or no? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Is cybersecurity management a new term or information security management? Okay, it's not new to Dexter. Okay, not new to Tammy. Okay, good. I'm glad there was few people that they've heard this term before. So that's what we'll be looking at for the most part. And that's what you can call the non-technical side of cybersecurity. Hey, Zainab, thank you for joining. Do you have something to say?
Oh, no, sorry.
I have no problem. No problem at all. If you can, and for those that joined recently, please put where you joined from in the chat, so we know where everyone is joining from today. So, why is a career in cybersecurity management or information security management important? I think we started touching on it earlier. Every organization needs us. They need us. Okay, Calgary, thank you for joining. So they need us to help them figure out what they cannot figure out in terms of, here's our goal. What can go wrong with it? Every organization needs to know that. And of course, every organization needs to stay compliant with certain regulations. We help them do that. So, the beauty of our role is that it is recession proof. Yes, this period, the market, it's more of an employer's market right now. Unlike what we had last year, 2 years ago, where everyone was just rolling with the big money. Now it's more of an employer's market, but because of course of what's happening around the world. But this field is recession proof, because if you're not grounded in this space, you can't really do our job. I can't, like in my space, for example, if you don't know the requirements of certain regulations, they can't just bring you in to say, okay, help us stay compliant. That organization will be in trouble. They need someone like me who has a very good understanding of certain regulations to help them stay compliant, to make sure they're doing the right things to be compliant. If not, they'll be paying millions of dollars to the regulators. They don't want that. No company wants that. Nobody wants to be in the midst for the wrong reasons. That's why it doesn't matter what time of the year it is or what is happening in the world. Our job most of the time is secure. So our role is recession proof. Of course, it is in high demand. It is definitely in high demand. I've seen people say, I'm not seeing enough cybersecurity roles out there. You're not searching right. It is in high demand. And of course, you have to know your stuff. You have to know where you fit. What's going on? Okay. So you have to know where you fit into the space. And for this role, because there's so many areas that you can transition or specialize from, I would say the minimum pay, if you're in this part of the world, is a minimum 6 figures. Talking minimum of 100,000. For 100,000 is like the low end. That's 100 and something thousand. And the base pay, and of course, full compensation would be a lot higher than that. So it's a space where you can comfortably get a role and feel good, at least feel good about yourself. And another beauty of it is you can do this from anywhere. You can do it you can work from home, you can work from another country if your company permits. There's a lot of flexibility in the space. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to sit down. I've had meetings in my car before. In fact, I did it yesterday. I had a meeting in my car while I was attending to something else. The job was getting done, right? That's the beauty of this space. I had to attend to something 2 days ago, and someone said, "Oh, sorry, I apologize. Are you at work?" I said, "Yeah, I'm still at work right now, even though I'm with you. I'm still at work." So that's the beauty of this space. You can really do your work from anywhere, as long as you're not the confidentiality of the information you're dealing with is not being compromised. You can do the job from anywhere, right? So, and another thing is, you would always have an impact on your organization, because everything we do is high visibility. The CEO is interested, the C levels are interested, even regulators are interested in what we're doing, the shareholders are interested in what we're doing. And of course, if you're with a company that is publicly listed, there are certain things they have to meet, they have to do every year, and they can't do it without us. So what we do, everything we touch is high visibility in an organization. That's why they can't just say, you know what, we don't need you anymore. They always need us. And there are so many opportunities in this space. You can move across, you can move up, you can move in any direction you want in this space. And the beauty of it a lot of the skills you have from what you're doing, they're transferable. And you'll be surprised when we get into the skills. So what is transferable? What do we really need in this space? Which is a question I will be asking everyone. Okay, Dexter, you have a question. Please go ahead.
Hi,
Q&A.
Dexter asked this question, we have some other people that just joined us. Thank you, follow. I think we've met before. Thank you for joining us today. And I think I saw Florence. Yeah, thank you for joining.
Florence. Yeah, a few people joined.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please, if you can tell us where you're joining from, that would be nice.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Celia. Yeah, Dexter, please go ahead.
Okay, so this question isn't like really that relevant, but like I'm meaning to know. Okay, in aspect of all this CIA, CSI, all the cybersecurity of them.
Sorry, say that again.
In the aspect of all the CIA agents and CSI, all those agencies, I'm asking all this cybersecurity, like how do they help those guys?
So CIA is like the intelligence agencies.
Mm-hmm.
How does cybersecurity help them? I'm interested. Yeah, it's interesting. We on our set, day in the life of cyber professional last weekend, the person we brought actually worked, and of course, I don't want to give it, worked with a law enforcement agency back in Nigeria, and his area of specialization is really cybercrime. So in that space, a lot of the things, a lot of the things we do in cybersecurity, because information is digital now, like data is like they say, is the new gold. So the things that those intelligence agents work on most of the time, they're technology focused. So they need us to help them figure out what they do. Like the person said last week, the framework they use in fighting crime, they're actually cybersecurity frameworks. So in terms of incident response, it is the cybersecurity framework. And in terms of the forensics, that's cybersecurity. Evidence, what do we call it now? What's the right word I'm looking for? Preservation, evidence preservation. All those things are covered in cybersecurity. You need a cybersecurity professional to do those things effectively. So gathering of intelligence as well. You can't break into anything without having, if you're doing it ethically, you need a ethical hacker to help you break into certain places to get together information if you need it. Of course, because you have authorization, then you're regarded as a ethical hacker, right? So they can't do their job without having some knowledge of cybersecurity, or at least having a cybersecurity pro working with them. Many of them actually. And an example is that person I said. And I'm not saying he's an intelligence agent or anything. No, that's not what I'm saying. So does that answer your question? Dexter, I can't hear you. I think you're double muted.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay, Florence is joining from Moncton Internship. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, that's answered my question.
All right, thank you. Okay, so now that we know that this space is very important, a question, and you can put it in the chat or you can talk. A role like this that is this crucial to organizations, how much do you think people earn working in this space? And we have to be conservative considering that the market is slow, right? It's an employer's market. So put it in the chat. How much do you think people in this space earn, starting out or established people? I think that's the next part a lot of people want to hear about. Yeah, love it. Thank you for joining. Entry level 70,000. Okay. Good to know. So let me know. So are you talking about a SOC analyst role, or what role would that be? Okay. I thought as much. Thank you. Anybody else? Even if it's a wild guess, there's no right or wrong answer. It can vary like that, I can tell you, but there are really certain things I would say should be, as you said, 6 figures. Yeah, yeah. Put a number to it. Put a number to 6 figures. Because 6 figures is 100,000. 6 figures is 900,000. 999,000 is 6 figures, right? 100,000. Okay. Is that 100,000 or 1 million? Let me see. 100,000. Okay. Oh, higher than 100,000. I see that. I see that. Good. Okay. 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 Anybody else? I want to see more numbers before we go into this. Any other guess or maybe not even a guess, facts-based number? Anyone? See a number of people there, but I can't say a lot of things in the chat. Florence, any thoughts on how much people? Okay, maybe let me do a bit of a recap because a few people joined late. So what we've talked about so far is we've covered 2 areas of cybersecurity, the core technical and the non-technical. And having described those 2 areas, most people on the call, at least, or let me say everybody on the call, agreed that the non-technical side seems to be more crucial for organizations than the technical side, because some of the things the technical guys do, others without the title of cybersecurity professional can also do that job, right? Now, we're saying if they're that crucial, if they don't have people like us in-house, or at least helping them, even if they're not in-house, as we're helping them, they can find themselves in the kind of trouble that can run into millions of dollars, right? So now, if our contribution is that important to the organization, how much do you think is fair for them to pay us to do what we do? Because we're the best at it, right? Or how much do you think the industry feels we're worth? So that's just a quick recap. So let me see some numbers before we move on.
I will call some names at this point. Follow, I know you are a professional.
Okay, Florence.
So,
Entry level starts at 70K, goes up to above 100K. So someone said that I'm saying, are we talking about SOC analysts? If we're talking about SOC analysts, yes, the answer is yes. But if we're talking about other roles that we'll touch on, maybe higher than that.
Hi, good day, everyone.
Okay.
My name was called. I just wanted to attempt to just listen in and just I just wanted to listen in. That's why I joined, and to just support the team. That's all.
yeah,
But if you want me to talk, why not?
Yeah, I know. I think I know that name. I think I know that name. Okay, so okay. I would say anything right now. I would not say anything right now. So yeah. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will just move on at this point. So yes, those that put 70K, that is true if it's a SOC analyst role. And of course, because SOC analyst role, a lot of the time it's almost like entry level, right? But the kind of roles we're talking about in the information security management space. So, and I'll give some examples, like if you're like a technology risk management consultant. So you'll be looking at, say, between 105,000, it could go as high as 150, 160, depending on the market. Again, remember the market. Depending on the market, depending on the company, depending on your skill set, right? if you're looking at, say, an information security manager, I've seen companies offer 135K. I've seen companies offer as high as 250, 300K in Canada. In the US, it can be more. I've seen higher in the US. IT GRC consultant, say 110 to like 154K. in Naira, in dollars, Dexter, in dollars. Everything with every number is in dollars. Great. So information security analyst, and this can be tricky because this can be either technical, but we're talking about the non-technical side, information security management side. Because what you see with organizations is they give different names. They give different roles, different names. So it may not necessarily tally with what the person is doing. So when you hear information security analyst or cybersecurity analyst, you have to look at the job description. So I'm talking about information security analysts, those that do like the risk assessment, policy development, or compliance related work. The salary could range from 110K to 160 or 170K dollars, just to emphasize that. Security architects. Again, it depends a lot, it varies a lot. It could be from 115 to 200K or more. Chief information security officers can, so these are different roles, Lobe. These are different roles that people can get into, not entry level. So you can, as an information security analyst, that can be entry level for this kind of space, but it is not. So these roles are not exactly entry level in a way, because there's some fundamental knowledge you would need to have before you can assess certain things. Before you can effectively assess and understand, okay, these are the kind of risks these are the kind of things that can go wrong with certain things, right? So they are not, I don't call them entry level roles. I call them, and I'll get into that a little bit later. I call them more intermediate to senior level roles. Entry level, like you said, 70K, yes, absolutely, entry level. And that's as I said, SOC analyst, or some cases, some companies will call it cybersecurity analyst roles, right? So the question is, who qualifies for these roles, right? The fact that you're just having the title of a cybersecurity professional does not mean you have to start an entry level, depending on where your experience lies, right? So does that help a little bit? Okay, so as I was saying, so chief information security officer, I've seen it go from between 135, of course, depending on the market. I've seen it go over 300K, depending. So, and this is also another tricky title that can deceive. A chief information security officer may not necessarily be a C-level person. C-level person can earn, maybe a C-level person, and they in some cases they earn in the excess of $500,000. But I've seen companies call cybersecurity managers chief information security officers, and you see them earn say 150, 160, and all of that. So it varies a lot. And I've seen directors called that as well. AVPs, VPs, given that title. You see this / CISO. So it varies a lot. So don't get, if you see some titles, go deeper into what the requirements are. So don't just take the title for it. Okay. Any question on that before I move on? We still have a Q&A session, but so before I move to the next thing on the agenda, can as many people as possible put their current job titles in the chat? Okay, Lovette, please go ahead. Are you typing or you want to talk?
Sorry. I was typing. I did not know I could
Oh
talk.
yeah, okay. Then you can talk. It's fine.
Yes. So, my question goes, it's someone with a postgraduate certificate in information and security management and a bachelor's degree in computer science, still an entry level, considered
Is
as
that
entry
backed?
level.
Is that backed by any work experience
Just a year of experience.
in
IT.
Okay.
Yeah.
A year of experience can be entry level.
Okay.
Can be entry level.
So even if I have a bachelor's in computer science and college certificate in information security management, it's still not valid.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a very good question, and like I'll just try to answer that real quick before I move on. So yeah, so as you probably already know from it, and I don't know if you're asking for yourself or for someone else.
Yes, for myself.
It's for yourself. Okay. So if it's for yourself, as you already know in your 1 year of work experience, you would know that the real world is nothing like what you thought at school. To have a degree is one thing, to have certifications is one thing, to have the experience is another.
Okay.
So
So
it's
it
not
means I'm
exactly a
entry.
substitute.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
But again, can you acquire the knowledge and the experience required? Absolutely. You can. It depends on how, the beauty of this space is you can move as fast as you want. It depends on how much you want to commit to your career. That's the beauty of this industry.
I also have another question.
Do you want to keep that till the end when we're going to
Okay,
Q&A?
okay, no problem.
Thank you. Okay, so if you all can put your current titles in the chat, I want to see something. The current job titles in the chat. Because what we're moving into next is we want to look at transitioning versus specialization. And I have a powerhouse in the house. You can tell me if I'm wrong or right. Agile PM, okay. Unemployed, okay. Okay, unemployed, but what did you do before then? Okay, customer support, thank you. All right, waiting for others. Pharmacist, okay. Good, okay. Okay, any more? We can move on. Okay. So I know what a lot of us have heard is transition. Unemployed just going into the university. Okay, yes, Dexter. That's right. And it's a good time to start for you, Dexter, just so you know. So a lot of the people here, those with work experience, what we've heard on, of course, and there's a lot of information on how in 12 weeks, in 45 days, in 6 months, you can transition into cybersecurity. That's what we see every time, right? Most of the time. No one talks about specialization. At least I've not seen. But there are 2 ways you can get into cybersecurity. Is that you're transitioning. A lot of the people did not start in cybersecurity. We were doing a flavor of it, doing something, but then we moved. And I might be wrong. Maybe some people started off doing cybersecurity and they'll call that, but most people did not start off in cybersecurity. What people like myself did was to specialize, right? And of course, it's interesting that people don't talk about it a lot. What we hear is transition. Oh, you can transition from customer support, you can transition from social care, you can transition from, and it's true, anybody can transition. This space is really for anybody, and for anybody that's ready to put in the work. So let's look at the difference between specialization and transition. The first thing is the background. What is your background? That's why I asked everybody to put their titles in the chat. So if you've touched on cybersecurity in one form or another in your role, let's say maybe you've done some financial audit that involved technology audit, which you will see in banks, that you've done, or you're in IT, you're a network admin, you're configuring firewalls, you're doing all of that, or you're a developer, but you're actually building security into your work. You're a QA, part of what IT QA, part of what you're testing. You're actually discovering bugs, and part of what you're testing for a security requirement. You've touched on, and you understand, like you have some functional knowledge of cybersecurity. So it means you're doing cybersecurity within your role. These are just examples of roles, right? You're doing cybersecurity within your role, even though you don't exactly understand the fundamentals, but you know you're touching on it. Then, just like any other space you want to specialize in, you can be a generalist and choose to specialize in an area. Then you're looking at your whole work and you're saying, okay, these are the things I've done. I want to own in on this one. I want to pick this one thing and focus on this number of things and focus on it. That's when you're specializing. But transition, let's say you've looked at your role, your background, and you can't see anything connected to cybersecurity whatsoever. You can't see it. And okay, this is an interesting thing, but the interesting thing is there's hardly anyone that doesn't have an element of cybersecurity in their job. It doesn't mean that you can just take that and then say you're specializing. And what I'm about to say, I'm not saying one job is bad or one job is better than the other. But I'm just going to give an example of some jobs that cannot necessarily specialize, but they would need to transition because it's a different world entirely, even though they have elements of security in what they do. An example would be, I'll say a nurse or a social worker or a care worker, even customer support. In that case, even though when you look at a customer support person, they're doing a lot of, they do every time they take a call, they will have to do identity verification. There's cybersecurity in that because you're trying to protect the confidentiality of the information you have, right? Or you're trying to confirm that, okay, you are who you claim to be. And you do have the right to have access, to access the information you're trying to access. Same thing with nurses. And it's a highly regulated environment. They do a lot of things with privacy. But when you look, the core of their job is not really that. They do more than that. So for people like that, transitioning would be more ideal than specialization. But for people like the ones I mentioned before, you're an auditor and you've had to touch on, of course, what do auditors do a lot of the time? They're auditing information, right? What do cybersecurity professionals do? We're protecting information assets most of the time, right? And we can do that physically, logically, and all of that. So there is a correlation there. Same thing, IT, information technology. What are we doing? We're making information. A big part of what we do is we make information available when it is needed. It is a big part of cybersecurity is CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, right? So that's what I'm saying. That areas where you can, and what you should be looking at is specialization, because you have the foundational, you have the background that you can build on. And of course, so let's talk about skill set. So I gave an example of, I said, if you join us from the start, I said, I was an application analyst, I was a system administrator, I was an innovation manager, I did a lot of things, right? And in my role as an application analyst, a lot of the things I did, I was beyond just, of course, making sure that the systems are available. I was protecting the information, the data on the system. We were running vulnerability scans, we were patching, and I could as well just pick that part and say, you know what, I want to, of course, I didn't do that, but I could have just done that. So I want to become a vulnerability analyst or a vulnerability consultant, right? Because it's a part of my day-to-day job. And I already had that skill set, even though at the time I didn't have the foundational knowledge or understanding of why I was doing the things I was doing. I just knew, okay, these things need to be done because the policy says. right? But the knowledge was there, the experience was already there. I did a lot of endpoint security as well, right? For those that have heard my story before, my first, what I would call cybersecurity thing way back was an incident response back home, back in Nigeria, was incident response. And I just did what I thought made sense. Only when I went deeper into cybersecurity, I figured that, okay, this is actually what is recommended. This is what the frameworks actually preach. But I just did what to me was common sense. Again, I built the background, I had that experience, but not the knowledge as to this how it should be done, right? On the other side, if you can't put together your experience that way to say, I did this, yes, I actually did this thing, I did this incident response plan, and of course, I'm just giving an example of things. I did this risk assessment, and it was like, oh, I did this audit, I built this security policy. You can't put those things together. You should be looking more at transition because you would have more learnings to do. And you would need to build some practical experience around, well, not on the job experience, but like maybe learning in a boot camp and all of that, but you would need more learnings to do compared to someone that is already doing it and just needs to learn the fundamentals. And so what does this mean for transition or for moving into cybersecurity as a core career path? It means that someone specializing who has got the time will probably move faster, and goes back to what Lovell was asking about entry level or not entry level. I said I will get to it. He said those that are moving, that are specializing, the expectation in this part of the world is to start in at least 6-figure roles because they're not exactly entry level people. They have the knowledge, they have the background, they have the experience to back up anything they're saying. So they shouldn't be starting in entry level roles because they're not entry level people. Right? But those that are transitioning, yes. And I know cybersecurity is such a beautiful space. Entry level can pay higher than some managerial roles in other spaces because we're that much in demand. So entry level is not a bad space to start. It doesn't mean, and I've seen this happen a lot, it doesn't mean you can't get in and get an intermediate level. By all means, don't say no. Don't reject yourself before you are rejected. It's a common saying. I say this a lot. Don't reject yourself because, oh, I'm just starting out. Even though I think I have this knowledge and I feel like I can build myself to do well in a role, but I'm too scared I will not apply for it. I say, still go for it. What's the worst? Go for the interview, prepare well, see if someone like for you will give you the job. And then, of course, they commit to the training. Sorry, I cut you out there. Sorry about that. So we'd give you the job, they give you the training, and you're good to go. And then you build yourself a career. So the fact that you're transitioning does not necessarily mean you cannot land good paying jobs. Even entry-level jobs they pay well in cybersecurity. But if you're specializing, I absolutely did not expect you to start looking for entry-level roles. And I say this a lot. When so I say this a lot. One of my very first interviews that I did, in fact, I've mentioned it a lot, I got the job, was for a CISO role. When I made the decision to focus on cybersecurity, I just applied. I wasn't expecting a call. I got the call. My approach to life is I don't say no to opportunities. I went for it. I spoke with the CEO, the CIO, everybody. And the next thing they told me, when would you like to meet your team? I was so scared that I turned it down. So if I had a mentor then, maybe I would have taken the role, right? I didn't. So I turned it down. That's telling you, don't reject yourself. Don't say no before you're said no to. So whether you choose to specialize or transition, the opportunities in this space are so big. Like there's so much you can do for yourself. There's so much you can do for yourself in this space. So don't feel bad, don't feel down. If you think, or from what I'm saying, you feel like, okay, I have to start over. I have to do a lot of work. yes, there is work to do. Just like even when you're specializing, there's still a lot of work to do, because you know what it's like you're unlearning some things. For example, as an IT PM, which I was, or I can still say I still am, because I manage a lot of compliance programs today. So, risk assessment, risk management in project management is different, even though largely we're catering for the same thing. It's different from risk management in cybersecurity, right? It would take some unlearnings and in some cases relearnings to get yourself into a certain mindset, whether you already had the background or you don't. So whether you're specializing or you're transitioning, it takes time to build the mindset. It takes certain learnings to start thinking in a certain way, and of course, start using the lingo. So it requires a lot of work either ways. Yeah, maybe someone specializing will get it faster and move on faster than someone's transitioning, but it is not impossible. It is possible for everybody. So a few roles I put out here for those roles that can transition. These are just example roles. They're not like all in all. So if you're a communication specialist, there's cybersecurity in what you do, but there's not, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, there's not enough cybersecurity in there for you to say you want to specialize, except you want to be a cybersecurity communicator, or you want to go into cybersecurity awareness. But you would agree with me that before you can start creating cybersecurity awareness, you also need to be cybersecurity aware. So you still need to do some learnings. If a project or program manager that is not in IT, what you're looking at would be more of transitioning. A researcher, yes, you're dealing with a lot of privacy and in some cases data protection. You can, but if you don't have the fundamental knowledge and experience, you may want to be looking at transitioning and not exactly specializing. If you're an IT researcher, which I am, and I think there are a few people on the call as well, if an IT researcher or information systems, you will be looking at specialization, except you want to go into like a totally different aspect of cybersecurity. You should be looking at specialization. But just a researcher or an analyst generally, and you're not IT focused or system focused, you may be looking at transitioning. Educators can also transition into cybersecurity. Teachers, lecturers, and the likes, because again, they deal with a lot of confidential information, like a lot of other professions, but there's still a lot of knowledge gap that I believe transition would be ideal for them. Customer service, except I guess in Lovett's case, where you already have that foundational knowledge from school, you can then, in your case, focus on cybersecurity, right? Leveraging your educational background, but still some learnings to do, as you would agree with. Healthcare practitioners, pharmacists, sales professionals, social care workers. These people transitioning would be ideal. Again, even if you're transitioning, I think your starting pay would be good. And of course, remember all the things we said before. There's flexibility to work from anywhere, even if it's hybrid. There's flexibility. What I've seen in this space is even when it says hybrid, there's room for negotiation. You can negotiate what the hybrid looks like. With most companies today, you can negotiate it in this space. It's not the kind of job where you have to be on site. You have to be born on seat. No, it's not that kind of job. So some roles that can specialize. If you're an IT BA, you're already gathering system requirements, which includes security requirements. You're already doing risk assessment, whether you know it or not. You are a risk consultant. You're a GRC specialist, but not exactly IT GRC or cybersecurity GRC. You can specialize because you're touching on cybersecurity in your day-to-day. and you already have the fundamental skills required in the space. IT PMs, you can specialize. Privacy specialists, you're already doing cybersecurity, just so you know. Because privacy and data protection, in my opinion, they go hand in hand, right? Because if you're doing privacy, you also have a responsibility to secure that data, right? Auditors, you can specialize. System administrators, network administrators, developers, QAs, control testing is waiting for you. Bug testing is waiting for you. If you're an IT QA or a control specialist. If you're doing fraud and AML, fraud and anti-money laundering, you're already doing cybersecurity, just so you know. It's a core part of it. If you're working with within an organization that is maybe a PCI merchant or an issuing bank, you're already doing cybersecurity because it's part of the requirements. So is there any question at this point before I move on? Does anyone have a question around their title and they're wondering if what they need to be looking at is transitioning or specializing? If there's none, so this person, not our real name for confidentiality reasons, just to let you know that it is possible for anyone. So she studied a social science degree, and was it 2 years ago now, worked, and she moved into ITBA, and within a year, she became a senior cybersecurity consultant. You can say she transitioned, but then she moved into a senior consultant role within, I think it was within 5 weeks. We started talking and all of that. And then, of course, that was her first 6-figure role. And she's doing great. She's doing great in that role now. You will hardly know that she transitioned a few years ago. So now, what are the skills required? I think that's something people are waiting for. In the cybersecurity management space or information security management space, 3 key technical things you'll be looking at. You have to understand threat and risk management. Very important. You have to be, what are the threats facing your organization? And of course, what are the vulnerabilities that those threats can exploit? And that's how you get your risk score. We want to understand the fundamentals of risk management. We want to know how the bad actors think, like one of our guests the other time mentioned, you need to be able to think like the bad guys. There's an interesting thing, and apologies to those that are not Nigerians here. I said, if by virtue of being a Nigerian, I think you already have qualified to be a cybersecurity person because our thinking is risk-based. You know, we always shine our eyes, right? So then, of course, basic understanding of computers, networks, and the latest technology. And I said that the last time we did this, I said, if you understand that the cloud is not up there, then maybe you're qualified to be in cybersecurity. You know, like what someone said in Nigeria, said, oh, it's in the cloud. What if it rains? If you know that cloud is not in the sky, then you have some knowledge and you can build on top of that. Oh, okay, Dexter, which one would you like me to go over? Is it the skills? So I said the technical skills I would recommend for a career in information security management or cybersecurity management. Threat and risk management, because you want to be able to think like the bad guys, you want to be able to see what can go wrong. Your thinking needs to be risk-based, right? And of course, you want to understand how computers work, how networks work, and of course, keep abreast of the latest technology. And then the third one is the knowledge of regulations and standards. So those 3 things, if you can own them very well, you would have a successful career in this space. Those are the technical skills. Now, the non-technical, which I mentioned earlier, on top of these 3 things, you need to, and I can almost call them technical, you need to have business acumen. You need to understand, you can't be in a company as a cybersecurity management person and not understand what your organization does or what their vision is. You need to, Because ultimately what we do is we are supporting the business to achieve their goals. We are not there to block them from doing what they need to do. We are not there to block everything and not let them do their work. We're supposed to support them to do their work effectively and securely, of course, obviously in compliance with regulation. So you must have a good understanding of what your business does so you can support them accordingly. You must be able to collaborate. The technical guys can sit on their computers because they get the instructions and then they do what they need to do. But for us, you have to be able to collaborate. You have to be able to collaborate across. You have to be able to engage with leadership. You have to be able to engage with people below, because a lot of the time what you're doing is you're introducing change. You're introducing some form of change to how things are done, because you're trying to secure it, right? You're trying to, oh yes, I know you do it this way, but these are the risks related to that. We need to add this and add that. You're asking a developer that wants to just launch to, oh, you did this, you did that, that's good, but these are the risks with it. There's no data filtering, there's no this and that. You need to put it in place, and then they go back. No one wants that. So you need to build that skill to manage people well, like to collaborate well, so that you can. One of the questions you will get in an interview is, have you been in a situation where you've recommended something to an asset owner and they said no to it? How did you manage that situation? They're just trying to test your collaboration skills. So if you're going into GRC, you want to understand policies, the implication of policies, and even how to manage policies. The fact that, okay, we need to review this policy, we need to have a policy lifecycle management in place, and all of that. And if you're going to be leading projects and programs in the space, because cybersecurity programs, that's what we need, right? You want to understand how to write proposals and project charters as well, in such a way that you can convince leadership that, oh, this is what needs to be done. This is what we need to get done, right? So communication, you communicate a lot. You will talk a lot. And I don't mean talking like, it can be via emails, it can be, and one of your key communication skills is also listening. You have to be able to listen a lot, because you're not listening to just poke holes into what they're doing. You're listening, you should listen genuinely, because you want to understand what they're trying to achieve, and how can you help them achieve it successfully and securely. And then you need to lead from the front, because the organization is looking at you. It doesn't matter what your role says in the organization. They're looking at you for advice. They're looking at you to guide them on certain things. Doesn't matter what your title says or where you fall in the chain and in the hierarchy. And then you can't stop learning. You have to continue to research and learn, because this space evolves every minute, not every day, every minute. You can't rest on your laurels. You can't just pack certifications and say, that's it, I'm good, I'm a cybersecurity professional. No, you'll be left behind. So for the sake of time, I'll move on, except there's a question. So some areas you can look at in the cybersecurity management space: technology risk management, I've mentioned it a few times. Regulatory compliance management, that's an area I'm focused on right now. Privacy and data protection, that's also an area I'm focused on as well. Identity and access management, that can be technical and non-technical. The non-technical side is where the policies and the IG and all of that is built. Of course, there's a technical side where you implement systems and things to keep the policies and all of that in place. There's threat and vulnerability management. This side, a lot of the time it is non-technical, because you're taking of course, you have your vulnerability management policy and all of that in place, and you're working and collaborating and coordinating with those that will actually implement patches, that will put the patches in place based on your assessment of the vulnerability. So I classify this as non-technical. Some may disagree. So third-party risk management is also a very key part of the cybersecurity management space. And of course, cybersecurity awareness is also key, because like they say, your people, they are your biggest asset, and as well, they are your biggest risks or threat or whatever. So I shared a case study of someone that already, of course, that what's it called? That transitioned earlier. Now, this is another person. Ola, if anyone working with us would know this person, of course, not the real name, but this person had a chemistry degree. Like I was saying to Lovett the other time, your degree does not translate to experience, right? Has a chemistry degree, but as soon as he left school, he went to India. He took IT, networking, and all of the different courses. Started in cybersecurity over a decade ago. But when he moved into Canada, he was confused as to what to do. He wanted to do project management. He wanted to do other things. But when we met, it's like, no, cybersecurity is where you should stay. And I can tell you, in less than 2 months, he landed 7 job offers, 6-figure offers, the biggest companies you can think of. Just to let you know that if you're specializing, you can do great things as well. If you're transitioning, you can do great things. It doesn't matter what you're doing. So now I've said a lot of good things. What are the things you need to start doing right now to get started? A few things, and you've probably heard some of this before, or some maybe they're new. The first step, what I recommend is self-learning and research. Understand what the space is about. That's key. You want to understand, it's not, the money is good. And the money is really good. The satisfaction is good as well, in my opinion, but you can't get there without understanding what you're doing. No one pays for nothing. Companies are trying to pay for the value you are rendering to them, the value you are offering them. That's what they're paying for. So if you don't even understand what cybersecurity is about, then you're not ready to start. Then once you understand the fundamentals, if you choose to do your learning on your own, which I highly recommend starting with that, you want to choose an area you want to specialize in. You've seen two sides of it. There's a technical, there's a non-technical. Which area do you want to focus on? You can't be a jack of all trades in this space. It's not recommended. If you find that, and if you want to learn more, you can then attend a boot camp. Just to let you know, boot camps don't, and I've heard people say boot camps don't work. They can work if you've done your own assignment, right? It's not a fast track to anything. You have to do your own work, right? Then you do need mentorship. You need a coach. You need coaching. Coaches help you make sense of whatever you've learned, either on your own or through a boot camp. They help you make sense of it because they have seen and done it. They have done what you're trying to do, and they can guide you in the right direction. And I mentioned before, that interview I attended, if I had a mentor then, maybe I would have taken that role because I would have been more confident to take it on, but I didn't. But I'm glad I didn't actually, because I don't know what I would be doing now if I took that role. So, but getting a coach or a mentor is very key. And on that, to point out there, people's time, especially people that are highly what's it called? Professionals like that, their time is worth something. So don't take people and expect them to be your mentor for free. If we offer them something, fine. If they say, okay, don't worry about it, that's fine. But don't go in there thinking you want to take something from them without giving them anything back. People prefer to have kind of mutually beneficial relationship than a parasitic one. So if you're going out there looking for a mentor or a coach, have that in mind. Then certification is also key because it would get you noticed. It wouldn't help you do the job, just to let you know that, but it would get you noticed for sure. And that's not to say you have to go for the biggest and brightest certifications. You have to be intentional. There are certain ones that, even though yes, everyone makes noise about them, will not do you a world of good, depending on the area you are specializing in. So I hope that is helping someone already. These are things you can start to do right now to get started. There's no time to waste. So with that said, and that we're coming to the end of our session, and I will give time for questions and answers. I want to take a few minutes to speak about our program. And as some of you already said, and as Temi put earlier in the chat, part of our consulting firm, part of what we do is we offer cybersecurity coaching. So what we do is, and for us, we're focused on people that are specializing. I know it's not what everyone wants to hear. People that can specialize. And how we do it was first want to understand your background and see how you can, or which area of cybersecurity you can specialize in based on what you've done before. From there, of course, we'll make sure you get the fundamental knowledge you need to get. You would have a coach. Again, remember what I said about mentorship and coaching. The time is worth money. You would have a coach. Don't worry about that. It's part of our program. You would have a coach that would help you make sense of everything. Your experience, the new learnings you're putting together, how everything ties back together, and how you can structure a resume so that it would make sense to you first, because it needs to make sense to you, and make sense to, obviously, the hiring managers. Because it's when they see the value you can offer that they call you. And of course, your coach will guide you all the way through interviewing, through negotiation, through everything. So when I say 6 figures, that's what I mean by 6 figures. We are not working, again, yeah, I will address that, Amy. We're almost at Q&A. Thank you. So the people we work with are people that can specialize. That's why I would say within a 12-week period, we'll work with you to build a 6-figure cybersecurity career, because we know for sure that these people can get that 6-figure career. And we, of course, we don't keep a class of 60, because everyone needs to have a coach. Everyone needs to have a personal touch to the experience. You can't go into a training. What I've seen in my experience, which was really how we came about our program, is that people go through boot camps, but without guidance, they will hear about a lot of things, and they can't just action anything, because nothing makes sense at the end of the day. Like, okay, I've heard a lot of good stuff, but I can't do anything with it. But your coach will make sure that you can do something with it immediately. So our program is action-based. We call it an action-based coaching program. Because you position you become a new person, you specialize. Remember, and there's nothing to hide, because what you're doing, you're not becoming a different person. You're not changing who you are. You're just specializing in an area of your job you're already doing. So if you want to join us, I'll put the link in the chat. And the good thing, if you're on this call today, and when you're booking your call with us, you put the number, I'll put that into the chat as well. 28, so you can book with me or you can book with Sulia. If you put the number 2810 on the in your booking, that tells us that you were here today. At least you listen to us, either here or on YouTube. 2810, that's today's date, right? In the comment or in the note when you're booking your session. And of course, you would qualify for our discount. That discount actually ends today, but if you book this week to join our November cohort, that tells us that you qualify for that discount as well. So, and the next course starts 4th November, that's next Saturday, 4th November, and it's a 12-week program. So if it's something you're interested in, book that call and let's have a chat. And on that note, I will open the floor for questions. And I think there's already one in the chat. So I noticed that a lot of these security related roles require high level of security clearance. And you should, okay. So some of these roles require security clearance, not all of them. So most of the ones that will be touching government related data would require security clearance, but not a lot of them. So if you're working for a consulting firm and they will be seconding you to a government, and of course you'll be touching sensitive data, yes, you need security clearance there. If you will be working with the government of Canada, the US government, If you'll be working with the government and you'll be touching their sensitive data, there is a good chance that they will require you have security clearance. The beauty of it is, if you've been in that country for up to 5 years, you qualify to have a security clearance. And I would say if you find a job like that and they're willing to give you that security clearance, go for it. It's good for you. But there are so many other organizations hiring security people that do not require security clearance. A retail organization would not ordinarily ask for security clearance. A pharmaceutical company, of course, these are places where security is where they are very sensitive to their security, would not ask you for security clearance. Financial sector clients don't always ask for security clearance. I've seen telecoms ask for it, and that's because they are working with, of course, telecoms. They work with businesses. They work with they do residential. They render residential services as well. So I've seen them in some cases, very rare, though, ask for security clearance. But all that to say, not most of the roles are not asking for security clearance, but some of them do ask for it. Yes. How did you get it? Oh, good question, Adi. How do you get a security clearance? Okay, so it has to come from the government. That's why I'm saying that only roles that are working with the government or touching government sensitive data require security clearance. You cannot get it on your own. If you can, almost everybody will have it really. You cannot get it on your own. You have to have a role that requires you to touch government sensitive data, and the government would have to order a security clearance for you. You cannot do it yourself. Any other question? It's Q&A time now. So I guess just to add to that, so no organization can just wake up tomorrow and say, I want my security employees to have security clearance without touching government data. They can't do that. So question, apart from self-study and research, which academic would you advise someone that intends to transition? Okay, good question. Specialization. Good question. Okay, Flores, thank you for asking that. While we don't have any affiliation with any organization, there are two I know of. I can put them in the chat. I don't have any affiliation with them. I'm not a part of the program, but I've seen people go through the program and do well. So, and let me see if I can find something. Let me see if I can find it now. So one is Black Tech. It's a boot camp. It's not what we offer. I know it's a boot camp. And I can't remember the other one now. I'll find it. I'll find it and put it in the chat. Ooh. But again, we don't have any. I can't speak to the quality of what they offer. I can't speak to how they will run their program. But yeah, if you search Black Tech Academy, you would find them. Any other question? And Florence, I'm just curious, what's your background?
Pharmacy. I'm a pharmacist.
Pharmacy. Okay. Yes, you put it in your. Okay. And so, where are you now in Canada? You're in Canada?
I'm the one joining. I'm the person joining from Moncton, New Brunswick.
Moncton. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. But you're practicing, are you?
No, I haven't converted, so that's
I
why
see.
instead of doing my conversion, I want to transition to cybersecurity.
Okay. Let's chat. If you can book a call, let's chat.
Okay.
Right. Let's have a chat and see what's going on.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Any other question? We've got about 7 minutes to end the call. don't think there's a, okay, let me check what's happening on YouTube. Okay. Can't see any questions. So should I take it that everything is clear or nothing is clear? We're all just here to listen. Okay, Shalia, anything else from you?
No, there is nothing else from me. Thank you everyone for joining. I
Okay,
hope
there's a question from Lovett. You've been having a series of interviews, but no luck. Okay. Can you book a call? Let's see what's going on. If you're having, so what role, if you don't mind sharing anyways, what kind
Stock
of
analyst, entry level.
stock analyst roles? Okay. That's interesting. How many have you had so far?
I've had 3 recently. I just had one 3 days ago, but they've not gotten back to me, so I just assumed I'm not gotten the job.
Okay, one thing, Canada can be slow. So if there, again, I would say don't stop applying. If you're getting interviews, that means your resume is working. That's one thing. If you're calling, it means your resume is working. So don't stop applying. That I would say. Yes, do you need to own your interviewing skills? Maybe that's something you need to work on. And because, like I say, interviews for me, they're supposed to be conversational. It's not okay, I want to see why I won't give you the job. They've seen your resume, they think you can do the job. Just go there and have a conversation about your experience and what you can do. Maybe that's something you need to own. But 3 and 1 you haven't heard back, it doesn't mean it's a no, but Canada can be slow. I've seen someone say, oh yeah, they said they gave me the job, I won't get any, and I won't hear anything back for another 4 weeks. Oh, what is that? But that's Canada for you. It can be like that. So don't give up hope on that one. But again, don't be too expectant. I'll say keep applying, work on your interviewing skills. If you want to book a call with me, you can do that. We can discuss it.
Okay. I also have something to say again, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So the first one I had was network engineer role, and I got it. I passed the first interview, passed the second interview. They called me and told me they are okay with me, they want to employ me. And I was happy with it. They're just trying to check my confidence level and my authorization status in Canada. And I told them, yeah, authorized to work. And all of a sudden, 7 days passed, and they now called me and told me they are moving, that I was not qualified for the job anymore. After telling me that
you're not qualified for the job anymore?
Yes.
Did they tell you why?
Exactly. So when they told me that, I was like, okay. So I was communicating with 2 of the recruiters. One is in US, one is in Canada. Then the other one told me a different story. He said the organization are facing a hiring freeze, or the budget was not approved, so they could not hire some positions. I was just confused. But even if that's true, why is there discrepancy in why it was not employed?
And you see this with recruiters a lot. They sometimes try not to tell the whole truth. So and I don't know the full details of it, but yes, that looking at what's happening right now, that's very possible. Companies are going through hiring freeze. Companies are laying off. So it's very possible. If it's not an absolutely important role in the organization, there's a good chance that they choose to not hire and just work with the people they have, right? But again, that shows that it's not really anything on you. You did your part. I say to people, you can do your best and still not get the job, because there are so many factors that go into getting a job. One, which is the only one you have control of, It's you doing your job, like presenting yourself well and telling your story well to the interviewer, convincing them that you're the right person for the job. Now, the rest of it, you don't have control over. Company can choose not to hire anymore. There can be an internal referral and the hiring manager chooses to go with that person. That could just be like a personal preference. Like, I like this person more. I have these 3 great candidates, but I like this one person more because I think I gel with the person. I think we connect on a personal level. You don't have any control over that, right? So there's so many factors that can make you get a job or not get a job. So don't put it down on yourself that, okay, maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe my interview skills are bad. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. But again, if it's a recurring thing, you want to check your approach, right? It sounds like out of 3, you got 1. And of course, we all know the situation. And then the other one you haven't heard back. So again, it's part of the process. That's what I would say.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, Dexter, I see that. We can discuss that. We can discuss it and see exactly what you're looking for. Okay, and we're already at time. Oh, for sure, love it, for sure. I think we're connected on LinkedIn. Right? Oh, how can you book a call? I put the link in the chat. You would see the one that says MLACC, so that's the one to book directly with me. Yeah, thank you, Tammy. Thank you for joining. Thank you all for joining the session today. And if you have any questions, of course, connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with Sulia on LinkedIn. Book a call with me, book a call with Sulia. Let's chat. Let's see how we can make that dream a reality for you. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.